Great to have you with us. Now, Joy News has gathered the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SNIT, will incur additional costs exceeding $4 million a year just to keep the controversial automation system, which has already cost the trust a whopping $147 million. The additional cost must be paid, although an audit of the system by PricewaterhouseCoopers reveals several defects and instances of double payments for aspects of the software infrastructure. Here's the News Desk report.
A copy of the executive summary of the audit secured by Joy News revealed what auditors describe as unavoidable, variable and intangible costs associated with the automation system. Total service-related costs alone that must be paid every year amounts to $4.3 million. This is despite of the fact that the total contract sum has already ballooned from $38 million to a jaw-dropping $147 million. The report also found out that the OBS project faces significant challenges as a result of inadequate project governance and management. It also found instances where payments were made more than once for the same item, while service-level agreement payments also made in advance when items were yet to be delivered. The audit also indicted the former management of SNIT, led by Ernest Cumson, for failing to disclose the full extent of issues relating to the automation project to the board. In fact, the audit team found that one point management presented to the board the ICT initiatives were ongoing, even though there were significant functional challenges with the OBS. The board itself, led by the NDC presidential hopeful Joshua Alabi, was also questioned for failing to demand accountability for management when there were issues of overspending and poor project management were brought to its attention. Additionally, the audit revealed how the former state management signed up the entire project as having been delivered when at that time the project itself was not fully implemented. In fact, the auditors recommended that SNIT may have to reconsider replacing the entire pension administration solution together with relevant matching hardware due to the fact that there's potential significant cost may be incurred without the commensurate benefits.
Now, a while back, I was given a tour of the IT infrastructure in question, and staff showed me the defects in the system. So what are we doing now?
We are generating a payment advice.
What's a payment advice?
It's an advice showing the total indebtedness of an employer.
Okay, that is if the employer has not paid some contributions.
Yes.
And if he owes some penalties as well.
That is it. So the payment advice will tell you the various months. You see, it will indicate the various months that payment has not been made. It will also indicate the number of workers, the labor force, and the amount per each month. Okay. So when you sum everything together, that is a payment advice.
Okay, so let's see that work here.
So that is a payment advice we are generating. The employer came, wanted to know his penalty indebtedness. Then it was printed for the employer. Then some few minutes later, the same advice was printed again. And from these two advice, that was printed within an interval of less than 3 minutes.
No, it's a minute.
Even minute. You see different penalties recorded on the payment advice. One is saying that the penalty is 523.60. The other is saying the penalty is 441.86. However, the actual contribution remains the same. So once the actual contribution remains the same, we expect that the penalty should remain the same.
Okay.
On the same day.
We'll come back to this story because the Attorney General Gloria Ekufo has been speaking on this matter. We'll bring you that update shortly. But in the meantime, Special Prosecutor Martin Amidu has indicated that he's going about his work despite a court action challenging his appointment. The Supreme Court today dismissed an application by the former Deputy Attorney General Dr. Dominic Aine asking to file additional arguments in support of his writ challenging the eligibility of Mr. Amidu to hold office. Dr. Ayine argues Mr. Amidu, who is aged 66, is beyond the retirement age and therefore cannot hold public office. Mr. Amidu has been speaking with the press after today's hearing.
It is not. I've been sworn in and I'm the special prosecutor. And
so far, are you getting all the resources that you need?
I am going on with my work, please. I can't discuss official matters to the press, please.
So you can assure us that it's not affecting your work?
I am doing my work. I am doing my work. Haven't I come to court?
We understand you don't even have an office to work to operate for.
I have an office, please.
Still watching Joy News today. Let's move to other stories now. And the Ghana Textile Workers Union is opposing plans by governments to assign the newly constituted Anti-Textile Piracy Task Force to the various borders to check the influx of pirated cloths into the Ghanaian market. The group has served notice to embark on strike if government fails to reconsider the move. Members of the task force say it is not their duty to be as the borders. They believe they will be more efficient and they work at the leader of the immediate past task force, Abraham Cumson, says stationing the new task force at the borders means indirectly telling them not to work. But how? Let's get more from Mr. Cumson, who is joining us on the phone with more. Good afternoon, Mr. Cumson. Thanks for joining us. Let's speak with Abraham Cumson, who has joined us on the line. Mr. Cumson, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So why this aversion to stationing members of the task force at the borders?
Honestly, I didn't want to comment on this development because I'm told the workers from GTP, ATL, Printex, and Japan Textiles are threatening to embark on demonstration next week. And it is the workers who now, they think that the union has not done enough. And they feel their jobs are on the line and they want to, do their own thing. So I don't want to say anything that will let people think I am behind them, because they also have brains. They will think they have to know the athlete. So I don't want to talk about.
Are the workers' jobs on the line if there's a task force at the borders checking pirated fabrics?
But my brother, is it possible? We have the national security there. We have customs who have the mandate to patrol the borders. Workers who have volunteered to help, check pirating of their product. And you want them to go to the border to go and do what? Patrol there. Meanwhile, we have identified where these goods are brought to. Now, if you are pursuing armed robbery and somebody has shown you their hideout, they say, oh, no, don't go to the hideout. You will be in town. Be around. If you see them operating, you arrest them. Does it make sense? Somebody has volunteered to show you where they live, where they plan, plot to attack. They say, no, don't go there. So if the Ministry of Trade is saying that don't go to where these goods are brought, because if you go there, you cause fear and panic. But rather go to the borders. Why don't they use the customs, the military, and the police to do that work? So this whole thing, let the workers speak for themselves. And I think that we'll see how
Mr. Cumson, some would also argue that going to the borders to stop the goods from coming into the country would rather be stopping this problem at the source.
Have you been to Aflao before? If you go to Aflao, we stand at the Aflao border 24 hours, 24/7. You will not see anybody using that entry point. They have so many openings along the border. There are rivers there, the sea is also there. You can't even see them. So, are they going to form a human chain from Accra, from Ada to Aflao to prevent people from bringing these things? It's not possible. You wouldn't know how they bring these goods in. Even the military people, the customs people, they find it difficult. When you engage them, they will lament and tell you that it is not easy to track these people along the border. So
right. So your point is that it will be difficult to just man the borders and find these fake fabrics. But these persons are out in the market selling them and they import them. Would it be possible to maybe collaborate with these market queens or these traders to find where they import them from and go up the food chain rather than chasing them in the markets?
No, you see, we are not saying that they shouldn't do their imports or whatever. All we are saying is that they are copying our designs. And these designs, Chinese people don't know the designs that our people like. It is people here, these people who are dealing in this business, who buy 2-3 yards, scan it, and send it to China for this goods to be printed. And unfortunately, they do not even use the approved entry point where they will be made to pay duties, taxes, and all that to the state. They don't do that. So they end up in the market selling these goods at far, far cheaper prices as against what we produce here. Because over here, you can never dodge any tax. The VAT is there, NHIS is there, corporate taxes,
right,
and a whole lot of taxes.
Right.
So what we are saying is that the point of sale, is the place that these goods can be, you know.
And if I'm to understand what you're saying, the workers are threatening a demonstration on this matter.
Oh yes, that's what I've heard.
Right. Thank you very much, Abraham Cumson, for joining us. He is a former chairman of former executive of the Textile Workers Union. Let's move back to the story on that controversial SNIT Automation project, and the Attorney General's Department has commenced investigations into that operational business suite saga. AG Gloria Ekofu said on Accra-based Oman FM, her office received a docket on this matter from the Economic and Organized Crime Office, YOCO, and is perusing it before charges are brought against the former SNIT officials involved in the matter. YOCO has cautioned former Director General of SNIT, Ernest Thompson, and 3 other former officials in connection with charges of causing financial loss to the state. This is in relation with the SNIT Automation project, which was initially intended to cost $38 million, but ended up costing $147 million. Gloria Kofu, however, says they cannot officially be charged until she is done with her work.
I am pensimo. Oh, ICT project BIA.
EYOCO has been investigating the matter and a docket has been brought to my office. We're still going through the dockets before we can prefer charges against the individuals. We're collaborating with EYOCO in investigations.
Procurement agency.
And we've met with internal auditors, the Procurement Authority, and several other bodies who can help us in the matter. In our meeting with stakeholders, we've requested for documents to help us in our probe, including the audit report by PricewaterhouseCoopers.
somewhere odo quarter which me ejina so kwa do a wabono
The 4 former SNIT officials have not been officially charged with any crimes. Iyoko has, however, made them write charge statements which will help them in their investigations. After we look at the docket, charges can then be brought against the former officials.
Director General was SNIT. Ewo krata bi ho menya nso say na SNIT ama PricewaterhouseCoopers ayen hwehwemu bi a yefre no audit enti ma tworo kora akoma say sa report no oma yensa enka bi enti eno kora no ye twen na eno nso ye hwehwe nsem a ewo mu eno so ye hwe a ebi a na bibi wo mu a yebetumi ede aka nkrata yensa aka hono a ayahwe ne eduaye adwuma.
Attorney General Gloria Ekufu there speaking on Accra-based Oman FM. Now, Ghana's agriculture sector recorded a record 4.3% growth in 2017, a marked improvement from the rather low rate recorded in the last few years. Last year's growth was despite the army worm phenomenon, which ravaged large swathes of farmlands. The sector ministry has attributed this to its Planting for Food and Jobs program, which saw farmers being supplied with inputs such as fertilizer and improved seeds. The Sunyani Municipal Agricultural Directorate, however, says farmers in the municipality are refusing to pay for the inputs they were supplied with, and this has implications for government's ability to support other farmers. Municipal Extension Officer Sally Adams tells Joy News' Adelaide Arthur the attitude of some smallholder farmers could derail government's efforts in developing the sector.
Sally Adams tells me more than 500 farmers within the Sunyani municipality were given seeds and fertilizers to enable them plant and increase yields last year. Under government's Planting for Food and Jobs program, which was rolled out in 2017, the farmers were expected to pay 50% of the cost.
We gave them seeds, maize seeds, fertilizer, onion, tomato, and then pepper. You told them that the government has taken part of the 50% of the amount involved for 1 acre. So they are to come, and then the remaining 50%, they paid half. And then take the inputs, go and do their own thing. After they are finished harvesting, they come and then make the recovery of the 25%. That is the arrangement that we made with them.
But according to Sally Adams, about 100 farmers have still not been able to pay up, holding on to more than 22,000 seeders.
Some bought it, pay everything before they collected their input. Others paid half, and then we gave them the input. Instead of them to come and make the recovery, as at now they haven't come. We have been calling them on phone, a whole lot of stories.
Did they tell you why they've not been able to settle this bill with you?
Yes, they don't have any tangible reasons. They will tell you, you come and pay. Others were complaining that 4 army worms destroyed their maize. But actually it's not true. Because if they had done that, you should have reported to the office so that you also make follow-up to the farm and see. But they didn't report anything. Now that we need our money, that is why they are coming to tell us that the 4 army worms have destroyed the farms.
The planting season has begun, and Sally Adams says farmers who owe will have to settle their debt in full if they want to benefit from the subsidized input to be supplied this year.
They are coming back, but what we are doing is if they come, we let them pay everything before we give them the inputs. Those who will pay need the input, but because what they've done, it's difficult for us to give the inputs to them again.
The extension officer is urging farmers to honor their side of the deal to ensure sustainability of the Planting for Food and Jobs program. Adelaide Arthur, Joy News, Sunyani.
Still watching Joy News today. I am Daniel Daz. The story has gone by so far. Attorney General Gloria Ekufu says her department has received Yoko's investigative report on the $147 million SNIT Automation System scandal. assuring the department will soon bring charges against the persons involved. And still up ahead, on Tech Thursday today, we'll tell you about that new app that tells you the watt power being consumed by your refrigerator. All that and more coming up. Stay with us. Still watching Joy News today. Thanks for staying with us. Now, in most homes, refrigerators are on 24/7 to preserve food. But that means a lot of electricity costs, especially if you don't have an energy-efficient option. Well, there is now an app that's got a database of all refrigerators imported into the country. And with just a click, you tell how much electricity the refrigerator you're buying anywhere in Ghana consumes. Joy News' Derek Ekosam has details of the certified refrigerating app for Tech Thursday today.
The certified refrigerating app has a field for the model number of the refrigerator. You just enter the numbers and click search. The monthly power consumption of the refrigerator as well as the monthly bill in Ghana cedis is displayed, so you know how much you have to pay in electricity bill each month. Kofi Edu Ejako is the Director of Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency at the Energy Commission.
The app has been developed to assist consumers in their attempt to select and actually identify which refrigerating appliance is energy efficient and authentic, that has gone through our screening system, so that consumers are not shortchanged by any greedy supplier. If you download the app can provide you 3 major services. The first service is that in case you find yourself in the shopping floor, on the yellow label that is affixed on the appliance, it always comes with model numbers. So check on the model number and input the model number in the app. If you do that, if it is actually certified, it will give you all the information that you need to help you make an informed decision as to whether or not to buy. It will give you the star rating. It will give you the consumption in kilowatt hours, and then how much you pay in cedis. And that can help you to compare a lot of fridges in the shop. And then you finally take a decision as to which one to buy.
And it's got some benefits for the Energy Commission too. Mr. Jacko says the certified refrigerating app also shows which shops sell the brand of refrigerator you want to buy.
Within about 14-kilometer radius of your location, the app can give you a tall list of nearby shops. And because the app is location sensitive, it is linked to Google Map. So even if you have no idea regarding the direction, the map can lead you to the shop. So it is a guide. And then it can also help you to make even a choice of the brand and the star rating that you want before you set off from home. You'll find star rating in all the labels. It is from 1 star to 5 star. The more the stars, the more efficient the appliance is. If we say the more efficient the appliance is, it simply means that the less energy it consumes. It assists us also to screen and ensure that we do our work well as watchmen for the ordinary consumer.
The user-friendly app, according to the Energy Commission, also helps to track unauthorized sellers who try to swindle customers. So download, drop your model number, and get to know your refrigerator better. Derek Ekosam's report for Joy News.
Now, neuroscientists at the University of Cape Coast, UCC, are calling on women to stop pressing the heads of newborn babies in order to change the shape of the heads of such babies. According to the scientists, such practices affect the functioning of the brain of the children and might affect their thinking capabilities when they grow up. The neuroscientists were speaking as the Brain Awareness Week at the University of Cape Coast. Richard Kojunyako has more.
The human skull is the bony structure that forms the head in the human skeleton. It supports the structures of the face and forms a cavity for the brain. The brain is contained in and protected by the skull bones of the head. Many societal practices in Ghana and elsewhere believe that the shape of one's head could be altered to suit the parents and society by nursing mothers or women who nurse the babies. According to the neuroscientists at the University of Cape Coast, the continuous pressing of the fragile heads of newborn babies to change the shape of their heads has grave consequences for the brains of the children. Speaking at the Brain Awareness Week in Cape Coast, Dr. Francis Jangma, with the School of Physiology, called for an end to such practices. He says the practice places limitations on the brain.
When children are born, their skull is very soft. A child's bone is so soft. In fact, if you press hard on it, you will see a depression on the skull. So the old ladies who are made to bath the children, they should not press on the head. They should just leave the head alone. If you press on the head, you are going to press directly on the brain and damage brain cells, and that child will grow up having neurologic problems. So we want them to understand, if the head is not round, it doesn't matter. They should leave the head as it is. It doesn't matter what shape. Because if they force and they push and push, they want to make it round, they are damaging the brain. As I said, it's like fufu. If you put it in a shape, it takes that shape. And then you damage the skull and you damage the brain. So this child will suffer throughout their life. If you look at the Western world, in fact, in the Western world, if you give birth to a child, all they tell you is, there's a nurse that comes to bath the child. They don't allow you to bath the child, especially if it's your first birth. A nurse comes to bath the child and clean the child. Educate them, because if you don't educate people, this is what they've been doing. They will tell you, they did it on me, they did it on you, they did it on him. That's what they will tell you. They feel because they've done it for long, it's right. But it's not right. Let's educate them.
Also called for a rigid enforcement of the domestic violence laws that abhor husbands and men beating their pregnant wives and partners. Professor Francis Ofe, another neuroscientist, called for an end to the hitting of the heads of children with implements and other objects. He says the practice, coupled with the failure of many to treat certain diseases, has the propensity to damage the brain.
Today we've been speaking about beating of children, corporal punishment, especially that involves giving them knocks or hitting their heads with heavy objects. These are some cultural practices and societal practices that we must speak about and try and stop in our society. Hypertension, diabetes, and some common conditions which are poorly managed in this country. All these lead to strokes, and strokes can lead to brain damage.
The Brain Awareness Week is a global campaign that promotes public interest in how to protect the brains of individuals. Richard Kwejenyako, Joy News, Cape Coast.
Well, you must definitely be careful in the raising of your babies. Now, you're still watching Joy News today, and we have to wrap up the bulletin here. This has been Joy News today. My name is Daniel Dazi. Before we go, let's take a look at some of the stories making headlines. Attorney General Gloria Ekufu says her department has received Yoko's investigation report on the $147 million SNIT Automation system scandal, assuring her department will soon begin investigations into the matter. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com.